Alrighty, my new video is done and dusted. What should my next video be? I guess I'm in face cam now. Horror is a very unique area of film because you never quite know what you're going to get. Unless, of course, it's a pre-existing franchise. But there is one exception. A trilogy in which each entry is as unique, creative, and different as the last. A trilogy that contains one of the greatest characters, not just in all of horror, but in all of cinema. I am, of course, talking about Sam Raimi's Evil Dead trilogy.
Groovy.
The Evil Dead trilogy is definitely my favorite series in the world of horror. Why is that? Well, there's 1, I adore horror comedies. 2, they're insane and camp at times. 3, Bruce Campbell is Ash. And 4, the creativity in each installment. The first film is very different from what the series would become, as it's just a flat-out horror movie. It follows 5 friends, Ash, Linda, Cheryl, Scotty, and Shelley, who go to a cabin in the woods, in which they find a book bound in human flesh. It's the Necronomicon for those unfamiliar. And a tape recorder. After listening to the recording, things go south very quickly. That sounds simple, but it's executed so well, with some of the best practical effects I've ever seen, considering its budget. This was made on a budget of $375,000. And while you can tell at times, the excellent cinematography is really the highlight for me. Like, come on, this doesn't scream $375,000. It's definitely not for the squeamish, though. It's billed as the ultimate experience in grueling terror, after all. I will say, the acting is not the greatest, but that's understandable, seeing as most of them are just friends of Sam Raimi. Overall, pretty good movie. 7 out of 10. I wonder what you could possibly do to top this. I'll tell you what, you make one of the greatest sequels of all time. Evil Dead 2 is a masterpiece, one of my favourite movies of all time, and easily my favourite in the trilogy. So energetic, full of life. I know, with a movie with the term dead in the name, it's strange I'm using the term full of life. Anyway, at just 84 minutes, you'll be begging for more. This movie's first 5 minutes is sort of like a remake of the first movie, where instead of 5 friends, it's just Ash and Linda on a romantic getaway to a cabin in the woods. After Ash gets hit by the force of evil, the movie just becomes masterfully chaotic. Oh, and funny. Absolutely hilarious. For example, there is a scene where Ash's hand gets possessed by a Kandarian demon, so he chops it off with a chainsaw, traps his hand in a bucket, and uses the book A Farewell to Arms as a weight. How can you not love this movie? I think now is a good time to talk about Ash. Ash Williams, the protagonist of the series, played by Bruce Campbell, a man with a chin chiseled by the gods. Anyway, Ash is a cocky or cowardly, it really depends on the situation, slayer of deadites, and I love him. I love him a lot. Bruce Campbell's excellent performance is definitely a reason why. I mean, he's why the character is so iconic, but he's also the perfect embodiment of how one half of him represents how you think you would go in this situation, and the other is what would actually happen. I also cosplayed him once at a convention. Anyway, back to Evil Dead 2. 10 out of 10. Please watch this movie. Please, 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 please. Anyway, on to Army of Darkness.
Hail to the king, baby.
Army of Darkness, unlike the first 2 films, it kind of abandons the horror genre to be more of a fantasy comedy. But don't get me wrong, I don't mind. I actually really love this one. While not as groovy as Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness is easily the most epic film in the series when talking about the scale. And you may think, oh no, now that he has a bigger budget, it will be as generic as humanly possible. No. This movie features a skeleton war. Skeletons are awesome. You can tell, because this is my Discord profile picture. Also, the music in this one It's probably my favorite. Joseph Loduca scores all 3 films, and he does a spectacular job on all of them. Danny Elfman also contributed a theme for this called March of the Dead, and it goes so hard for like no reason. I would play a clip, but also copyright, so maybe just like go watch the movie. Also, Bruce Campbell is still awesome as Ash, and as Bad Ash. Yeah, that's right, Sega. You thought you were so cool making an edgy version of Sonic. Turns out, Sam Raimi beat you to the punch 9 years earlier. Also, there are numerous versions of this movie. The main ones to watch are the theatrical cut and the director's cut. Watch either one. Really depends on whether you want to see Ash pump a deadite full of shotgun shells at impossibly fast levels of speed, or a more nihilistic ending. Anyway, I love this movie. I'll give it a 9 out of 10. Oh, and before you head out, Evil Dead is actually still an active franchise, with a 2013 reimagining of the first film, a 3-season TV show on Starz, and just last year, Evil Dead Rise, a new movie in the series. I'll cover them in another video if there's demand. You just have to comment if you want more Evil Dead videos, I suppose. In conclusion, the Evil Dead trilogy is a masterclass in having each film be as creative and innovative with the medium of film as the last. Personally, I think they should be required viewing for everyone, but that's just my opinion. Go watch these movies and form your own opinion. And with that, I've been Icy. See you soon.